Welcome back to Jeff and the Rabbi. How you doing?
No, we're here.
Tired, rested up from all those holidays?
Exhausted.
I'm
exhausted.
You put in like a good couple weeks of work there.
I'm exhausted, and it was tough. We took dancing with the Torah round. That's like,
So this is you shouldn't even shown up today. This should be your break. You should go on vacation
right.
now, I would think.
This should be my off season.
Really.
And the truth is, it would have been, but I know that the people out there are yearning, and I just couldn't, turn them down. I know they want to hear the word of the Torah.
They do, and it's got to be tough being your business because it starts over. I mean, you got to start all over again, back at square one.
Right.
So we are. We're almost at square two, I guess now.
Right.
We're at Noah.
And by the way, it's not so simple because when you're reading out of a scroll,
right,
when you get to one end, you got to roll it all the way to the end. If it would be like a book, if you just flip it, or if it's like in a circle or something, but it's a scroll. It's like
not easy work.
Yeah.
But we're in Noah. We're in Noah again. I think we all know that story. It's probably one of the most famous stories in the Bible. Everybody knows it. But a couple issues with Noah here. We just take it for granted, but all of a sudden God says, you know what? I'm going to wipe out mankind. Done with them. They've messed up so bad that I'm going to wipe them out. Now, you got to think about how bad they had to mess up. Today, we've got Mideast, bad crisis. We got in America, we got a lying woman over here running against a maybe kind of not right in the head man for president. We've got a situation where our country is in a disaster.
His problem is he doesn't lie.
No, he doesn't lie.
He would be better off.
A lying woman against a man who doesn't lie.
If he would start lying, he probably would be better off. The problem is he tells whatever's on his mind. He tells the truth. That's his problem.
So here's what we got that going. We got men who think they're women, women who think there's men, dogs and cats cohabitating.
Right.
We've got things going on in this world. Why did God decide then, let's wipe them all out? Now, what's going on in this world today, I'm sure a lot of us have never seen anything like this. We're fine. Everything is going on as normal. We must have done something pretty darn bad for God to say, you know what? Let's take a flood, wipe them all out. Let's kill them all.
Yeah.
I'm confused.
Yep.
What are we missing today? I think we probably have hit that point by now where God might be a little bit upset.
And if you just read the story, it's not so obvious.
Right.
It's not so obvious. As a matter of fact, I'll give you a quote from the story here. Let's just read just a line of the story to see which was leading up to this whole episode of. It says, so what happened? And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born to them. The sons of God saw the daughters of men that they were fair, and they took them wives whomever they choose. And God said, my spirit shall not abide in man forever, for that he is also flesh. Therefore shall his days be 120 years. And then God saw the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil. And God regretted that he made man.
Oh.
And he grieved him at his heart, and he said, I'm going to blot him out. Well, he saw that men were only wicked. What is he seeing now? I don't know. Well, and what was it? What you're right. It's not there. It's not in the story. Even when he goes to talk about Noah, it says he saw that the people were corrupt. Well, is that anything new? Have you ever heard of any corruption anywhere?
We've got someone, they just found 650,000 emails on somebody's computer that said they didn't have any emails. I don't know. It sounds like corruption to me.
Yeah. What's going on? All of a sudden. It is difficult. But that when we read the Torah, we don't just read it superficially. We look at it very carefully.
That makes sense.
And the details are really important. Because you have to ask yourself another question. Everyone knows this story. What happened?
Well, rain came down, and Noah brings all the animals 2 by 2 onto the ark, and humanity and all animals get wiped out except who's on the ark.
Right.
And we start all over.
And everybody knows that story.
Yep.
And, the giraffe is sticking out the window.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Little rainbow in the background,
Yep.
Okay, great. Beautiful. Why?
That's really the big question here.
And why that? Why didn't God bring down a huge bubble? He said God could have taken a gigantic stick and stuck it in the soapy water and made a gigantic bubble and put Noah into the bubble.
Well, that's true too.
Or, I get a better one. Why did he create Noah? Why did he save Noah? Why did he save the animals? Why did he save them in an ark? Why did he flood the world? I mean, all this stuff. So you say, well, it's a cute story. They're coming. Believe me, no one would have ever come up with this story if it wasn't already in that book.
Yeah, right. That's a good point. This would be a tough one.
No one would have dreamt of it. It's only after it's there then it becomes very imaginable, but no one would have dreamt of it otherwise. So you have to take a look at it. And we have to look at it very, very carefully. What is it that led God to choose the method that he did? Now, let's just take a look earlier. It says, and God regretted that he made man on the earth, and it grieved him. And he said, I'm going to blot out man, whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and creeping thing, and fowl of the air, for I regret that I made them. Men were the bad guys. The people were the bad guys.
Right.
Why the giraffes have to get all killed? Why the bumblebees and the oak trees and all that stuff? I mean, he wiped out everything.
By the way, speaking of the bees, you know where he kept them?
No.
When he was in Ark, he kept them in the archives.
In the archives.
Yes.
Wow. Wow. You must have been eating popsicles,
No.
And when you're done, you looked at this.
No, it's with my research. When I do my research for the topic.
Either that or where is it in the Cracker Jacks? It's
I got a lot of good supplies for my jokes here.
Big stuff. Wow.
Really good.
I'm so glad I came today.
Yeah, this is worth it.
Yeah. So why is he wiping out everybody, even the bees in the beehives in the archives, right? Why is he wiping out even the bees? What do they do? Right? Just like kill off the people, kill all the people out and say, Noah, you're the only survivor. Why do the plants even the plants, why does everything have to die? And what's that all about? Right? So it's a big problem. And then when we look at it, let's look at the method that was chosen. He chose the water, okay? He wanted to wipe it out, and the water, what did the water do?
He could have cleansed the earth of people. I'm just kind of coming up with some ideas. He could have done that. Showering the earth of its dirt and its corruption.
I mean, he could have just said, all you bad guys,
could have done that, right?
And all of a sudden Noah's like, hey, where'd everybody go? What happened?
That's a good point.
Don't worry, Noah, you're the only one. Could have done that. But why is it? Now, when we look at it, he chose water. Okay? And one of the things that it says about what he didn't like about people, it says that this is talking about the story of Noah in chapter 7. And it says, he said, take all these animals and put them in the ark. And then it says that God saw that the people had degenerated. Let's use that word. The people had degenerated their ways with man. It came to pass the people had become degenerated. So he said, and the whole world was filled with violence. All the people are corrupt, but the real word that he used in Hebrew is degenerated. Hishchis is the Hebrew word, degenerated. Now it's really interesting what happens when you degenerate. What happens when something or someone degenerates?
You de-evolve. You go backwards.
Right. So if you picture something and it's degenerating, so as it degenerates, what happens to it?
Well, if you ever watched one of the Marvel movies or comic books, you see he kind of goes back into where, the primitive state of whatever.
Yeah, right. Or maybe it's, it's like his face starts to drop off and, melts down. Or so one of those type of things, right? So it's really interesting. That's the way people work. Now, what happens when you put things in water, usually, with most things? You leave them soak in water.
They could melt down or just kind
of... They start to fall apart. They start to lose their super... Water is a solvent.
Oh, that's true.
Water is the number one solvent, right?
Yeah.
And what it does is it basically erases things. It just wears them down, right?
Yep.
Now, what do you have that is man? What makes man man? Why are people different than all the other people? What's special about man?
God breathed in the soul in His likeness, in His image.
His image.
Yes.
He likeness in His image.
Yes.
Very good. Likeness in His image. Okay. So we're in the likeness and in the image of God. Then we start to degenerate. So what degenerates when something starts to degenerate?
God, the likeness and image.
The
of
image.
God.
So our
Wow.
image starts to
Right.
degenerate. That means like the godliness that's in us or on us.
Right.
So then what does God do? So God says, oh, you're degenerating. I think I'm just going to erase you. As a matter of fact, the word erase, it says, Vayimach. He erased, es kol hayakum. God erased. You know, erase is really interesting because erase is there's an image.
Right.
And you
It's
erase.
gone.
Could it say he killed, he removed, he destroyed?
Right.
It says specifically that he erased. It's interesting God uses this word erased. What's the deal? What is the bottom line? What makes people people? That we're in the image of God.
Yep.
Because we're in the image of God, and it's really, really interesting. Because we're in the image of God, that means that we can act godly. That means we can do things that transcend even our physical being. And you know, by the way, what part of us is the most in the image of God? It's our face.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yes, our face. Our face is called our panim. And by the way, our panim, our face, shows our pinim. The word pinim inside is the same as panim. It just changed the vowel.
Okay.
So our
There you go.
outside, and you know, no two people look exactly alike. Some people are similar to other people. But animals, you know, all the bears, I mean, you get some big ones, you get some small ones.
Well.
But you look a bear in the face, if it grizzly A looks like grizzly
Well,
B.
but does Grizzly A look like Grizzly B to Grizzly B?
You know,
you might say, you know,
we'll
you're
never
tracking.
really know.
Well, we don't know that.
You
but
know, I
it's
don't
a
know.
good
I don't
question.
think we'll ever really know.
No.
But
But to me, it's a bear.
right, and when you take a golden retriever,
Right.
you can have 6 golden retrievers.
I can
You can
tell
look them all in the face, and they're all golden retrievers.
Okay, I don't know.
But there are no two people that
Right.
are identical one to the other.
Okay. Okay.
Although I was just at the zoo, and they say that gorillas don't have the same noses. You can tell gorillas by their noses.
I mean, my dogs, I can tell the difference of, but, but we're close.
Your dogs are 2 different dogs.
Well, that's true, too.
But if you had 2 of the same dog,
I don't know.
it's very possible that you could have 2 identical dogs or a lot of identical dogs, right? I mean, you could have, a bunch of...
Well, that's true.
Like whatchamacallit, what's his name? Ugga.
Right? You never know when you get the new UGG in there.
Right. I
Right.
mean, you know, he looks so much like the previous
Right.
Ugga.
Right,
Right?
that's
it's
true.
really hard to tell one Ugga from the
next.
next,
That's
right?
true.
Because all the Uggas are pretty much like the Ugga that came before them. And even if you look at their pictures, you show 2 Uggas in the pictures. One's from 1989, and one's from
Wow,
2009.
He's really living.
2009, and your Ugga still looks young and vibrant, looks just the same.
Now,
right?
for you people outside the South, that's the University of Georgia Bulldog.
Right.
Now, I would say it's because animals have big litters, and then so they all look alike. But most rabbis I know have big litters too, and you can tell the difference between your children. So it's
Right.
not that.
People, you can always tell the
Right.
difference between people if you look carefully. I
That's
know they
right.
all look the same and all that type of
Right.
stuff. But people, if you look closely, whereas, animals can look the same. So people are unique.
Yep.
Every person wears the image of God.
That makes sense.
Okay?
I got that.
And since God made all these different people, that means that every person has their own little facet of the image of God. You got your godliness, and I've
Right.
got my godliness, and that's why you've got to do your thing in this world, and I got to do my thing in this world. Together, maybe the sum total of us all makes up this image of God, but each one of us
Right.
carries this image of God. With this image of God, this is really what life is all about. Otherwise, we'd be animals, and we would just go about our business. We'd be the beavers would build dams, and the dogs would chase after cars or whatever it is,
Yep,
right?
yep.
But we're people, and because we're people, we can do all kinds of things, and we can strive for greatness, and we can inspire,
Right.
and we can uplift, and we can act holy, and do all kinds of wonderful things, and really, really transcend our existence, our physical limitations. Even we can transcend that, and we can become eternal. However, when people start to degenerate that image,
Right.
and they say, And that's why it says the first things they saw the women, and they took from whomsoever they choose. That they were just grabbing and taking and indulging. And then later on it says they started to degenerate and just indulge their lust in any which way they wanted. And then they became corrupt. So everyone was cheating everyone. What does that mean you're cheating? Because you just think about me. I never think about you. I never think about any honesty or any decency or another person. I just think about how can I get more for me. I want to cheat you. I want to take from you. I want to take advantage of you. I just want to enjoy myself, and I don't care about anyone or anything else. That is an animal. Because the animal just thinks about his own needs.
True.
People can rise above this. When God sees the people are not rising above that, so then God says, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I regret that I made this whole thing because I made you to try to rise above it. And you instead are trying to like dumb yourself down to this world, and you're supposed to rise above this world. So I regret it. I regret the world even, because the world is just here for you to have a setting from which to rise above. And you instead are just dumbing down into it.
Right.
And we don't need this anymore.
Right.
I don't need you. And I certainly don't need this whole world, which was just a set for you to do your thing in. So what am I going to do? You degenerated. I'm going to degenerate this whole thing. I'm going to erase it. And what's the best way to erase it? With water.
Just like that witch in the movie.
Yeah,
the witch is melting, gone.
That's right. And by the way, water is really neat because it's all about, we're all about shape, image.
Right.
Water is a really neat thing. You know why?
Gets rid of all
No shape.
Nothing at all.
You can't, water doesn't have any shape. There's no image, no form to water. I mean, you can put water inside of a form, but water doesn't naturally, has no freestanding form. If you take a bunch of water and you plunk it down on the table, it'll go.
Right, that's true.
Right, you can't, you pour all the water, it'll just keep going. It'll never take any form. It'll just, where does water go to?
Lowest point.
The lowest point.
All right.
Where were these people going to?
Ooh.
The lowest point.
Look at that.
God created them with a form and an image. What form and image? The image of God.
Right.
And they said, no. I want to go to the lowest point. I want to erase the form. God says, okay, that's what you want? Guess what? That is what you are going to get. And I'm going to erase it all with water, which has no form and no image, and it goes to the lowest point and erases you. And when it's all said and done, you take an item and you soak it in water and you come back after a while, there's nothing there.
Nothing there at
it's
all.
all gone. It just dissolved. It dissolved. It's all gone.
And he felt I might as well take the animals and everybody with him because they were only here for
They
man
were only
anyway.
here for man to start with. He says, forget it, right? Now, he says, but Noah, he says, okay, I'm going to try this again. Now, basically, the big overview is like this. God thought, I'm going to create mankind and see if we can work it with mankind. Didn't work out. So then God thought, okay, I'll tell you what, I'm going to do a recreate of mankind with specific terms. Didn't work out. So then God said, okay, I'm going to do a specific, not all of mankind, because all of mankind's not working.
Right.
I'm going to do a specific group of mankind and see if I can get just one or one group of people to act the way I want and to grab onto the offer of becoming noble and rising above it. And even if one group does, then the whole thing was worthwhile just for them. And that's Adam, Noah, Abraham.
And let me ask you then, so, did it work out? I mean, again, the Abraham, I guess it worked out, but I mean, is God happy? I mean, so right now, there's corruption, there's problems, but you're saying in the long run, there's at least a group of mankind that's going forward in the image of God.
That's right.
It might be more than the image of God, but really rising up above and trying
That's right. And you know what? When one manages to get it right, then there is the possibility that if anyone gets it right, that one can turn around and elevate all the rest of them.
Else. Well, which is
right.
That's
but really, right now, what God's focused on is just one. If we can just get one out of the whole group to do it, then the whole thing is worthwhile. Yeah, it's like the teacher. Let's say teacher's trying to educate everybody. Well, it's not working. Okay, let me just take one group. Well, even that. But if I can just get one student that gets it,
Right.
then at least there is hope for the future.
Wow.
Right. But now what you see is, now you understand, A, what was going on when God said he regretted doing this. He regretted doing this because he saw that the people whom he invested with the image of God just degenerated. So he said, well, then why did I waste my time with all of them? Therefore, he said, I'm going to erase all of this. And that's why it is no surprise that what follows is a flood. And a flood specifically to flood all of them out and everyone to be erased and everything to be lost.
And Noah was good enough, and his line was good enough in God's mind, God's eye, to take it on for the future.
Right. Noah was good.
Because nothing else really changed, did it? I mean,
yeah. Yes,
did anything else change from Adam to Noah that made God think this is now going to work better?
Yes. Okay. Yeah, a number of things changed. When God recreated the world, first of all, he made it a much tougher place. Okay. It was a much, much tougher place because, he had shut it down. And by the way, when we say shut it down, he shut down the sun too. During the year, it was a year this whole process takes place. From Noah, from the time he gets in the ark till the time he gets off the ark, you thought it was
40 days and 40 nights.
That's how long it was raining.
Oh, that's right, but he still had to hang out.
But then the water had to recede, and it's a whole big long process.
So it was a year.
The whole thing took a year. During that year, he actually shut down the whole solar system. The world went into hibernation, as it were.
So what did Noah and them do?
So they were living inside of an ark. It said the ark had some type of a light inside of it. That basically everyone was in hibernation because otherwise you'd have to figure how would they be able to maintain all those people on the ark?
The light was there, but you know what happened when the light went out? They were into ark. That was another one of my jokes that I found. Yeah. Sorry about that. That was just ignore that. Go on. Let's ignore that one.
I see you spending a lot of time researching this.
Let's totally ignore that one. Go on. That was pretty bad.
Wow.
That was pretty bad. Yeah.
So
that's beneath me. But anyway, go ahead.
When they came out, actually, it was a different world and a much more challenging world.
Right.
The world before the ark was much more centered in such a way, as our Midrash tells us, that the seasons didn't go to extremes. Afterwards, God says now they come out. There's going to be winter and summer and all that. It's a different world. It's a much more challenging world. It's a harder world, and yet the challenge is they limit us. Our lifespan. People lived a long time before. Now they live much shorter. So there are a lot of things that really help us do better. One of the things that helps us do better is the adversity of the elements. Makes you work hard. During the summer, you got to stock up your grain because in the winter, you're not going to have anything to eat. Right. Also, everyone knows that no one lives to be more than 120. So, and everyone's going to die at a certain point. Right. Well, you got to get to work. Can't just count on having 600, 700, 800 years.
Wait till you're 500 to have your kids.
Yeah, right. Can't count on all that, right? Got to get to work. So a lot of those things that are in the world now is the way it changed. Fundamental things that make us much more industrious, and much more focused, and much more fragile.
And that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, that does. Okay, so we're okay today. We got to keep on the right track, but we're okay. We're not because God did say He's never going to do this again.
He's not going to do this again. Right. But we do have to understand lesson number one from this story. Everything God does is measure for measure. Everything corresponds. Right. See, God didn't just say I am so mad at them, I'm going to smash them out, and what's the worst thing? I'm going to drown them. That's horrible. Mm-hmm. He wasn't punishing. He was basically pulling the plug in the world. But he doesn't just pull the plug poof, it's gone. He pulls the plug on the world in such a way that it correspondingly, they were the ones that dialed up the flood.
Right.
They were the ones that dialed up the flood. God said, you know what? You guys are just not worth it anymore. So the way you're doing it, I'm going to continue. You're degenerating, here comes a flood. Gotcha. Flood is what you are asking for. You are requesting flood. You're degenerating.
So
you're erasing. Here you go.
Wow. Oh, all right, that makes sense. Now that makes sense. So that makes it a little bit more complicated than that pretty little story of the animals marching
right.
2 by 2.
But as far as
Very good.
we're all concerned, what we have to realize is that every person has that unique image of God upon them. And what we want to strive to do is we want to strive to show, to actualize, to elevate ourselves to be like that image of God. And when these people are just running after whatever lust they felt like doing, that's why particularly it talks about their lusts and the sexual impropriety that was going on and how the whole world had degenerated with this sexual impropriety. That just shows, because people cannot exercise self-control and restraint, which is the number one factor in developing yourself, anyone that achieves anything has to exercise control and restraint. Any athlete, anyone, they have to exercise some self-control and restraint. And by just allowing us to take from whichever they choose, that just degenerates and therefore they lose it.
Well, makes sense.
Okay.
Clear picture now. Makes sense. All right.
Okay.
Well, let's remember that one.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Next week, I guess we'll be back.
Next week we'll be back. I wouldn't be surprised if we'd be talking about Abraham. I wouldn't be surprised.
Right around there. All right. Good. See you next week.